The dojo. Rows of folding chairs were filled with parents, students, and local spectators gathered for a public demonstration. The tatami mats gleamed under ceiling lamps, their buzzing echoing off the walls. Jason Statham stood silently in the back, leaning against the wooden wall. He wore a loose gray t-shirt, wide cargo pants, and old sneakers. Modest. Just another face in the crowd. Or so it seemed. Then a voice rang out. "Oh, is that who I think it is?" Every head turned as Sensei Riku Watanabe stepped into the center of the tatami, cocky, muscular, radiating arrogance. His GI sleeves were rolled up to the biceps, showing off a snake tattoo winding around his forearm. "Ladies and gentlemen," Riku declared theatrically, "looks like Hollywood sent us a stuntman today, the one and only Mr. Transporter." The audience laughed, phones lifted, cameras recording. Riku's grin widened. Jason didn't move. "You came for a lesson, mate," Riku provoked. "Or did you just get lost on the way to a movie set?" More laughter rippled through the room. Some younger students chuckled nervously, glancing between Riku and Jason. Jason didn't flinch, didn't even blink, just watched. Riku wasn't finished. He pointed at him. "Come on then. Show us how you've been faking it for 20 years. He mimicked an exaggerated spinning kick in Hollywood style. Jason pushed himself from the wall with one hand, walked steadily toward the tatami, saying nothing, slowly peeling off his jacket. He set it on the bench, then looked Riku dead in the eyes. "Are you sure?" Jason said quietly, sharply. "Do you really want to see this?" The dojo fell silent. You could hear a pin drop. The stuntman had just transformed into something entirely different. Narrator interjects like a viral clip. "Before we continue, like and subscribe to see the epic showdown between Jason Statham and the arrogant dojo master. Comment where you're watching from today." The dojo itself was tucked between a ramen cafe and a bookstore in Little Tokyo, Los Angeles. A cramped space with faded red bricks and a paper lantern outside reading Dojo Watanabe. Inside, the air was thick. Tatami mats worn by years of hard training. Posters of flying kicks and tournament trophies covered the walls. A place that thrived on attention, especially live streams and short clips uploaded after every demo. Sensei Riku Watanabe ruled the center. Part fighter, part influencer. Just past 30. Fourth Dan black belt in karate. Slicked back hair, tense muscles, ego wrapped in GI. A man addicted to applause. He thrived on humiliation, especially when strangers walked in. 2 weeks ago, he'd gone viral humiliating a visiting taekwondo champion, sweeping him to the mat in front of cameras. 3 million views in 48 hours. Since then, his arrogance had only grown. He was convinced no one could beat him in his own dojo. He especially despised famous fighters. To him, movie stars were clowns with choreographers, not warriors. And now Jason Statham was in his dojo. But Jason wasn't there for fame. He was in town finishing a small indie project nearby. His close friend, a former stuntman, had a son training here. Jason promised to come watch the boy perform. He slipped in unnoticed. Dark hoodie over a plain t-shirt, cargo pants, scuffed sneakers. No entourage, no cameras. Just another face at the back wall, until Riku spotted him. Riku's ego couldn't resist. What no one in the room knew, not the crowd, not even Riku, was that Jason had trained in Japan years ago. With Master Hiroshi, the very same teacher Riku once studied under. Jason's training came long before Hollywood, long before spotlights. His roots ran deeper than anyone realized. But Jason said nothing. He simply waited, until Riku's ego summoned him to the mat. Jason's hoodie fell, and everything was about to change. Riku grinned wider as he strutted to the center, rolling his shoulders with theatrical arrogance. But the spotlight wasn't his. Not anymore. Jason's silent presence had stolen it effortlessly. Riku intended to reclaim it. He launched into a dramatic kata. His arms flailed with exaggerated strikes. He stomped harder than necessary. His ki-eyes echoed off the walls like a showman begging for recognition. Then he turned, pointing straight at Jason, shouting loud enough for the whole dojo to hear. "So, Hollywood, forget your stunt team today. Or just scared to break a nail in a real dojo." Laughter burst across the room. Teenagers in the back nudged each other, smirking. One boy whispered to a girl beside him. He's gonna make Jason Statham beg for mercy. Just watch. Another chimed in. Bet he drops faster than a rewritten script. Phones were already up. TikTok angles. Instagram stories. Dojo turned into a coliseum. In the center, the silent man in cargo pants and sneakers, still motionless. Jason finally exhaled. No smile, no expression. Just a pause, then. I didn't come here to fight. That single sentence silenced the room. I came to watch a boy train. Your student. He gestured subtly toward the corner, where a wide-eyed boy half hid behind his father, the former stuntman and Jason's old friend. The boy looked overwhelmed, embarrassed. Jason's eyes returned to Riku. But you're forcing this. His voice firm now, low but razor sharp. Forcing me to show you something your old sensei never could. A crack appeared in Riku's bravado. He flung his arms wide, yelling. Fine then. Fight me. Let's see what 20 years of movie fights look like without the cameras. Some in the crowd gasped. Even a few black belts along the wall shifted uncomfortably. They knew Jason's past. They'd heard stories, not all of the myths. Jason slowly peeled off his hoodie, folding it neatly beside the tatami. The t-shirt beneath clung to a body carved not by glamour, but by sweat, pain, and discipline. No theatrics, no choreography, just man versus man. Jason raised one finger calmly. One rule. Riku blinked. What? No showboating, just technique. For a beat, the dojo froze. Then Riku barked a crude laugh. Then you've already lost. His footfalls barely touched the ground before Riku exploded forward, leaping with a flying knee aimed straight for Jason's ribs. Fast, aggressive, flashy. The audience gasped. Phones shook in hands. Jason shifted just enough, pivoting on one foot. The knee sliced past with surgical precision. Jason's counter came calm, almost lazy, a short strike to Riku's ribs. Thump. Not heard so much as felt in the bones. Riku doubled slightly, gasping as air was forced from his chest. A ragged groan escaped him. The dojo went silent. Phones lifted higher. Teenagers who had mocked before leaned forward now, wide-eyed. Riku's grin was gone. His stance shifted. Tense, angry. He wiped his mouth, forced a laugh. Lucky hit, he muttered, circling. Jason stood firm, elbows tucked, hands loose, silent. Riku attacked again, faking a spinning kick, snapping into a heel strike. Jason leaned back, missing it by centimeters, then snatched Riku's ankle midair and swept his supporting leg. Crack. Riku slammed onto the tatami, flat on his back. Jason didn't follow up. He waited. Riku scrambled up, face red. Try again, Grandpa. He spat. Jason exhaled once, calm, almost bored. Riku lunged again, arms flailing in desperation, a wild barrage of hooks, elbows, roundhouses. Jason moved like a ghost, dodging, slipping under a shoulder, catching a fist, twisting, snap. Riku cried out as Jason locked his arm, turned halfway, then drove a controlled palm strike into his throat. A whisper of real damage. Riku staggered back, clutching his neck. The crowd shifted, no longer laughing, no longer cheering for Riku. Now they stared at Jason, unsure if this was still a demo, or something far more serious. Jason advanced slowly, chin tucked, feet sliding. Riku retreated, panic in his steps. Desperation replacing technique. He swung another spinning kick, too slow. Jason ducked, rammed a shoulder into his gut, lifted, and slammed him down again. This time Jason flowed seamlessly into top control. No punches, no elbows, just pressure. Waiting. Get up, Jason said calmly, the first words since his jacket came off. Riku, dazed, humiliated, rolled onto his knees and staggered to his feet. Pride, or stupidity, kept him going. Jason allowed it, but the moment Riku raised his fists, Jason struck like lightning, low kick to the thigh. Riku staggered. Another. Same spot. He groaned. Jason slid aside, unleashed one sharp elbow to the temple, snatched the wrist, pressed downward, forcing Riku onto his knees before him. Then, in the silence, Jason stepped behind, hooked an arm under Riku's shoulder, and drove a dry, precise elbow into the base of his neck. Controlled, but deadly, Riku collapsed as though unplugged, face down on the tatami. gasping, nose bleeding into the fibers. Jason took one step back. No words, no pose, no celebration. Phone still recording, hands trembling. He just ended him, someone whispered. The boy in the corner gasped. I thought Riku was the best. Riku rolled to his side, eyes wide with shock. He tried to sit, failed, reaching weakly for anything, an anchor of dignity. Nothing came. Jason's breathing steady. He glanced down once, then turned his back. Silence heavy as cement filled the dojo. No one knew if they should clap, speak, or just keep filming. The girl in the back, who had laughed at Riku's taunts, slowly lowered her phone and whispered. He's not an actor. He's a weapon. Jason didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket. As he stepped off the tatami, the room exhaled in collective relief. For a long moment after that final elbow, the dojo stayed in stunned silence. Riku lay sprawled, face flushed, breath ragged. Blood still dripping from his nose. His pride not just wounded, it had been dismantled. Then, one clap, then another. Soon hesitant applause rippled through the room. Not a stadium roar, just a slow, careful recognition from those whose worldview had just shifted. A white belt teenager leaned to his friend and whispered, shocked. That wasn't a movie fight. No, came the low reply. That was real. Jason Statham stood calm in the center of the tatami. No arrogance, no vengeance, just quiet clarity. Then, before everyone, he extended a hand. Riku, blinking through haze, hesitated. With a painful groan, pride crushed heavier than any injury, he accepted. Jason pulled him up. No drama, no spectacle, just firm, dignified respect. Once Riku stood, Jason leaned slightly closer, speaking loud enough for the front row to hear. Next time, try respect before chasing attention. Riku only swallowed. No words, not even thanks. Only shame burned behind swollen eyes. Jason released his wrist and turned, pausing only when his eyes caught the boy in the corner. Maybe 12, brown belt, standing at attention, trembling from the fight he'd just witnessed. Jason walked over. The boy straightened nervously, gaze lowered, unsure what to expect. Jason picked up a clean towel from the bench, handed it to him. Your footwork's better than your teacher's, Jason said, nodding toward Riku without looking back. The boy's eyes lit with disbelief. His father in the stands raised a hand to his mouth, wordless. Someone whispered, that boy will never forget this. Jason ruffled the kid's hair gently, turned toward the exit. Behind him, Riku stood unsteady, hands on hips, eyes fixed on the floor. His black belt, tight at the waist, suddenly looked like a costume. He said nothing, no excuses, just watched silently as Jason moved through the crowd, which parted for him. His footsteps echoed softly, no greetings, no boasting, no victory pose, only silence, and respect. Phone still recording, but now with reverence. That wasn't for the cameras, the girl whispered to her friend. He really lives this. That's not a movie star, another muttered. That's a real martial artist. At the edge of the tatami, the glass sliding door groaned open. Sunlight spilled in, lighting dust motes like tiny golden sparks. Jason stepped into the light. Cars passed outside. Life went on. But inside, something had changed. Riku sank onto the edge of the tatami, elbows on knees, staring at the floor where he once strutted. He still felt the weight of Jason's elbow on his spine, but deeper than that, he felt something heavier, humility. For the first time in years. By the time Jason's shoes touched the asphalt of the parking lot, the videos were already on TikTok and everywhere else. By sunset, 3 million views. Next morning, 12 million, and climbing. Clips appeared from every angle. One captured the elbow, another caught Jason's phrase, show respect before chasing attention. Platforms exploded. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram stories, Twitter threads, even LinkedIn posts. Comment sections became digital shrines. This wasn't a fight, it was a lesson. Jason Statham just redefined silent dominance. Coolest thing I've ever seen. No boasting, no ego, just mastery. I'd pay for a full course called Discipline by Jason. Martial artists worldwide reposted. BJJ black belts captioned. Belts mean nothing without control. Even UFC fighters weighed in. That final elbow, yeah, that was real. His timing is scary. Podcasts analyzed it. Reaction channels broke it down frame by frame. Fitness influencers who once mocked celebrity fighters now praised Jason's mechanics. ESPN Instagram even compared Jason side by side with Octagon champions, and he held his own. Meanwhile, Riku scrambled for damage control, posting a shaky, poorly lit video titled, "My Side of What Happened with Jason Statham." Wearing sunglasses indoors, he began, "It was a misunderstanding. I didn't know he was that well trained. The internet didn't forgive." Top comment. "You didn't lose to Jason's name. You lost to his silence." Another. "This isn't about misunderstanding. It's about humility. You're still learning." Riku's apology went viral, for all the wrong reasons. Jason, on the other hand, posted nothing. He simply stepped away, said nothing. A silence that spoke louder than any statement. On martial arts forums, the clip was pinned at the top under one phrase. "Martial arts isn't about being the loudest. It's about being the last standing, with dignity intact." That phrase lit up, printed on t-shirts, used in warm-ups at gyms, adopted by instructors worldwide. In Riku's dojo itself, things changed. Sparring sessions once full of ego and showmanship were renamed. Now they called it silent discipline. No shouting, no mocking, just movement, focus, control. Students who once copied Riku's arrogance now repeated Jason's stance. Even the youngest asked, "Can I fight like that?" But Jason had already moved on. Later that week, walking alone down a quiet downtown alley, his phone buzzed. A message from an old friend in London. "Mate, saw the video. Another fight." Jason chuckled softly, sliding the phone back into his pocket. "Wasn't a fight," he murmured with a faint smile. "Just a reminder." And with that, he vanished into the night. No spotlights, no crowd, no words, only the kind of silence that speaks louder than anything. The kind of silence that teaches.